The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 16. In the middle of the deserted grave at midnight, the terrifying Bai Wucheng suddenly appeared, frightening the mourners. And the Taoist priest used some kind of spell, using scattered ghost money to confuse all these people, causing chaos in the cemetery. I'm going out to see what they're up to, playing around with their tricks. The broken Taoist and Liu Feng hid behind a new grave, witnessing everything. They knew that both Bai Wucheng and the Taoist priest were practitioners of dark arts, likely intending to harm these people. Wait, don't be impulsive. Let's observe a little longer and understand the situation before taking action. Liu Feng couldn't contain his impatience and wanted to go out and confront those two people to find out the truth, but the broken Taoist held him back. I pay my respects to the soul summoner. Liu Feng suppressed his anger. He understood that the broken Taoist was right. As the saying goes, if you know your confidence secrets, listen to what's said behind your back. There are a total of 48 people. Please handle them. I just pointed at them earlier. Indeed, these two people were colluding. The Taoist priest approached Bai Wucheng with a servile expression on his face and spoke. Too few. When will we be able to complete the task of protecting the law? But this is already the largest clan in this town. Obviously, Bai Wucheng was dissatisfied with this number. From their conversation, these two individuals seemed to be demonic cultists who came here to find living people to accompany an ancient zombie. I understand. Well, you should continue your efforts to find. Bai Wucheng gave orders and took out a very delicate small copper gong from his large sleeve. It was clearly not an ordinary item. Yin gong. Souls listen. With yin people I go. Then he chanted a spell, and the sound of the gong rang out. The sound of this small copper gong wasn't loud, but it mysteriously drilled into people's minds, causing them to feel confused and their vision to darken. Liu Feng knew that this thing probably had the ability to enchant and confuse souls, so he didn't dare to underestimate it. He formed a hand seal in front of him. He lightly tapped his temple with 4 fingers, and his mind immediately cleared up. The disorienting sound of the gong also became less intense. Taoist, Taoist. Just as he was awakening himself, Liu Feng turned his head and noticed that the broken Taoist was still in a daze. His eyes were unfocused and his body swayed, clearly affected by the enchantment. Ah, look outside. Liu Feng tapped forcefully on the broken Taoist's temple, stabilizing his mind, then quickly covered his mouth, afraid of alerting the two demonic individuals outside. Not good. Those people. Fortunately, the chaos outside at the moment didn't cause any reaction to the broken Taoist's exclamation. However, the situation outside truly shocked the two of them. It turned out that the dozens of people who had fainted outside were now being controlled by the eerie sound of the gong. They stood up one by one, looking dazed and disoriented. Kid. He's a corpse driver. That's the 9 yin soul enchanting gong. Liu Feng hadn't fully understood yet, but he saw the excited broken Taoist beside him, pointing out that the so-called Bai Wucheng was actually a corpse driver. By now, those dozens of people were already controlled by the sound of the gong, standing together motionless, waiting for Bai Wucheng's instructions like robots. Yin people, set off. Yang people, retreat. When Bai Wucheng saw that the timing was right, he shouted a corpse driver's mountain song and turned to walk downhill. Hurry up, hurry. However, with such a large number of people, there was still some disorder. The Taoist priest kept pushing and controlling the formation from behind, showing their skilled coordination. It was clear that they often engaged in these evil acts. The soul summoner has worked hard. After a while, the team started to move in perfect order, and Mr. Yin and Yang hurriedly took a few steps and followed Bai Wucheng, appearing submissive and servile. In this way, led by Bai Wucheng, the group silently walked deeper into the desolate mountains. From a distance, it really looked like the Grim Reaper escorting numerous restless souls to the underworld. Due to the influence of the soul-enchanting gong, these people had vacant expressions and mechanical movements, but their footsteps were unified. Looking at Bai Wucheng, it turned out that his over 10-foot-tall figure was actually standing on a long wooden pole, just like walking on stilts, hopping forward steadily. Taoist, it's time for us to take action. At this moment, Liu Feng called out to the broken Taoist and rushed out from behind the grave. I'll deal with the demonic individual, you take care of the mourners. Are you looking down on me, Taoist? Liu Feng charged forward, his hands not idle, and a golden coin dart shot out like a cold star. The power of that coin was immense, rapidly spinning and exceptionally sharp, instantly cutting off the wooden pole beneath Bai Wucheng. As soon as the wooden pole was severed, Bai Wucheng immediately lost balance. The wooden pole was over 1 meter tall, and caught off guard, Bai Wucheng fell heavily, letting out a scream. Who dares to plot against me? After getting up from the ground, Bai Wucheng ripped off his blood-red long tongue and turned his head to curse. Although he was disheveled and his hat had fallen off, his face remained a terrifying ghostly expression. What? Are you not going to continue pretending to be the soul summoner? After suffering a setback, this guy no longer maintained that deep and eerie voice. Now Liu Feng could clearly see that he wore a pale Grim Reaper mask on his face. Who are you people? How dare you harm my soul summoner? Ugh, you lackey. At this moment, Mr. Yin and Yang, who had been dazed on the side, also reacted and shouted as they charged towards the two of them. Youngster, take this punch from me. From the few steps Mr. Yin and Yang ran, Liu Feng could tell that this guy didn't possess any real martial arts skills. He just wanted to show off in front of Bai Wucheng. Taoist, it's up to you now. Liu Feng wasn't interested in dealing with such an opponent. Dodging aside, he swiftly threw him towards the broken Taoist behind him. No problem. Watch this. The broken Taoist, feeling somewhat stifled by Liu Feng's disregard for him, finally found a place to vent when he saw Mr. Yin and Yang bumping into him. Taste my iron crutchly, falling down staircase. Although the broken Taoist couldn't be considered a master, dealing with this kind of amateur was too easy. He lifted his knee and pushed Mr. Yin and Yang out, exerting quite a bit of force. Kid, I, the broken Taoist, am still as skilled as ever. Taoist, impressive move. This move not only released his pent-up frustration, but also raised his pride. He boasted to Liu Feng. Not good. That guy is trying to escape. He won't get away. Because of the interference caused by Mr. Yin and Yang, Bai Wucheng saw the unfavorable situation and turned around, climbing up a small slope. Liu Feng followed closely behind, but realized that Bai Wucheng didn't seem to be trying to escape. Liu Feng believed he still had a trick up his sleeve, so he didn't rashly approach. Sure enough, Bai Wucheng had just lost his bronze gong in the chaos, but now he took out a jingling bell from his sleeve. With a shake of his hand, a sinister and eerie sound immediately rang out. This sound was obviously more powerful than the 9-yin gong, and seemed tangible. A strong yin energy rushed towards Liu Feng. Liu Feng felt his head spinning, and then it felt like two invisible hands were forcibly twisting his head, causing intense pain to strike. Liu Feng's body swayed and ultimately couldn't resist. He fell to the ground, and Bai Wucheng, seeing his success, stood on the slope, emitting a strange laughter. Kid, what happened to you? The broken Taoist was surprised to see that he had easily dealt with Mr. Yin and Yang, but it was too late to rescue Liu Feng at this point. Go to hell. Bai Wucheng clearly didn't want to give his opponent any chance. He drew a chilling dagger from his pocket and leaped down the hill, aiming directly at Liu Feng. Initially, Bai Wucheng was extremely excited, thinking that the person in front of him was undoubtedly doomed. No one had ever escaped his soul-enchanting bell. However, at this moment, The person who should have had their soul captured suddenly lifted their head and gave him a wicked smile. In fact, Liu Feng was prepared long ago. When he saw Bai Wucheng take out the bell, he knew it wasn't good. So he recited the clear mind mantra in his mind. Stabilizing his thoughts, he pretended to fall to the ground to lure Bai Wucheng in. Seizing the opportunity, Liu Feng flew up and kicked the guy into the air. Before his body could come down, Liu Feng followed up with another kick. Liu Feng put about 50% of his strength into this kick and immediately heard Bai Wucheng scream in agony as his body flew away. Unexpectedly, when Bai Wucheng flew out about 4 or 5 meters, he thumped heavily in front of the approaching broken toast. The broken toast, uncharacteristically serious this time, jumped onto Bai Wucheng's body and forcefully tore off his mask. Under the mask was an ugly face, covered in pimples and with a large bucktooth. It was even a one-eyed monster, truly incredibly ugly. "It's really you bastard." Seeing this face, the broken toast was instantly infuriated, veins popping on his forehead. It seemed that not only did he recognize this person, but they also had an irreconcilable hatred. Zhang Dowling, Li Gama, you shameless scoundrel. From the conversation between the two, Liu Feng realized that they indeed knew each other, and it was also the first time he learned that, although the broken toast wasn't particularly skilled, he had a famous name. "I'll kill you to avenge my master." The broken toast's eyes bulged with anger. He raised his fist fiercely, looking like he had nothing to share with this person. And then, the broken toast's punches continued relentlessly, using all his strength. The pitiful screams of Bai Wucheng echoed far through the forest, sounding like a slaughtered pig. After a while, the so-called Li Gama, Bai Wucheng, was knocked unconscious by the broken toast. Losing consciousness, Liu Feng worried that the broken toast might act out of anger and cause harm, so he quickly held him back. "Master Tao, what kind of deep grudge is this?" "Master Tao, my lifelong reputation has been ruined by this kid." After being pulled up, the broken toast looked at the unconscious Li Gama on the ground and kicked him once again in resentment. "He stole the treasure of our sect and killed my master." However, amid the broken toast's grumbling, Liu Feng learned about his past.